Welcome back to Demolition Worker Channel. Today we begin an incredibly perilous journey toward a massive solitary steel island in the ocean. Our logistics vessel slowly navigates the rough waters of the Persian Gulf, heading straight for the legendary South Pars oil field today. The ocean breeze howls around us as the colossal silhouette of a severely damaged oil rig emerges from the thick morning mist. Twisted metal scaffolds and leaning platforms tell a tragic story of structural failure against the relentless power of the deep blue sea. We can see the entire structure tilting dangerously to one side, threatening to collapse into the dark waters at any given moment. Advanced technology helps us visualize the immense force of giant waves continuously crashing into these degrading and heavily rusted steel foundation legs. The visual reconstruction shows exactly how the saltwater corrosion has eaten away the primary supports over several decades of harsh marine exposure. Survey drones are immediately deployed into the sky to circle the upper decks and evaluate the remaining load capacity of the rig. High-definition cameras capture every single crack and fracture on the main columns, sending crucial data back to our floating command center. Our engineering team carefully analyzes the live drone footage to identify the most critical stress points across the leaning offshore drilling platform. We must establish a secure anchoring system and temporary working platforms before any heavy machinery can safely approach this fragile metal giant. The wind speed suddenly increases, making the aerial approach incredibly difficult for the transport helicopter carrying our brave team of structural engineers. You can feel the intense tension as the chopper hovers directly above the severely cracked and compromised helipad of the ruined rig. One by one, the specialists carefully descend from the hovering aircraft onto the unstable surface using specialized tactical ropes and safety harnesses. The concrete surface of the landing pad is heavily fractured, requiring our men to step with extreme caution to avoid sudden collapses. Their very first critical mission is to clear away all the loose debris that could potentially fall and injure the crew below. Sharp pieces of jagged steel and broken pipes are systematically removed from the upper decks to create a safe pathway for operations. Every single movement must be calculated because a single mistake could send heavy metal debris plummeting into the turbulent ocean waves below. The deafening sound of howling wind rushing through the twisted steel gaps creates a highly intimidating atmosphere for the entire demolition crew. Despite the terrifying conditions, our workers push forward with incredible determination, securing the perimeter step by step in this hostile marine environment. Heavy-duty chains are hoisted up from the supply boat to begin the complicated process of stabilizing the leaning towers of steel. We watch as sparks fly from cutting torches, illuminating the dark gray sky, while engineers carefully dismantle the most dangerous overhanging structures. The ocean waves continue to batter the rusty pillars relentlessly, reminding everyone of the constant danger lurking just beneath their safety boots. A temporary steel walkway is slowly extended across the massive gap between the main platform and the secondary drilling tower standing nearby. Our lead engineer coordinated the crane movements via radio, ensuring that the heavy steel beams are lowered into position with absolute precision. The installation of the temporary platform is a major milestone, allowing our heavy equipment to finally roll onto the damaged main deck. Hydraulic cutters are brought in to slice through the thick metal pipes like butter, clearing the way for the massive demolition excavators. The sheer scale of this abandoned oil rig is truly mind-boggling when you stand right next to these massive industrial components. We discover an old control room that has been completely gutted by the harsh weather, leaving behind only a skeleton of steel. Every corner of this decaying structure presents a brand new challenge for our highly skilled team of industrial demolition experts working today. The structural integrity of the lower deck is severely compromised. meaning we have to reinforce the main support beams before proceeding further. Specialized underwater welding teams are preparing to dive into the freezing waters to assess the damage to the submerged foundation legs below. The underwater footage reveals massive cracks in the concrete base, explaining why the entire platform has been leaning so dangerously all week. We deploy a remote-controlled submersible robot to map out the safest locations for placing the underwater explosive charges later this month. Back on the surface, the wind is picking up again, forcing our crane operators to temporarily suspend all heavy lifting operations immediately. Safety always comes first on these extreme demolition sites, especially when you are working miles away from the nearest hospital or coastline. The crew takes a brief moment to rest and rehydrate inside the temporary shelter, sharing stories about their past offshore demolition jobs. Once the wind dies down, the massive hydraulic shears are fired up again to continue tearing apart the rusty upper deck structures. Huge chunks of twisted metal are carefully lowered onto the waiting barge below, ready to be transported back to the recycling facility. The precision required to dismantle this rig without causing a catastrophic collapse is a true testament to the skill of our engineers. As the sun begins to set over the Persian Gulf, the massive steel island casts a long, eerie shadow across the water. Floodlights are powered on, illuminating the dark metal skeleton against the night sky, allowing our night shift crew to begin their work. Working at night on an abandoned oil rig brings a whole new level of danger and excitement to this incredible demolition project. The sparks from the welding torches look like beautiful fireworks exploding against the pitch-black backdrop of the endless ocean around us. We have successfully secured the primary structural nodes, significantly reducing the risk of a sudden collapse during the heavy machinery operations tomorrow. The sound of grinding metal echoes across the empty ocean, a mechanical symphony celebrating the hard work of our dedicated demolition team. Morning arrives with a beautiful sunrise, but there is no time to admire the view as the second phase demolition begins. Today we are focusing on removing the massive drilling derrick, which is the tallest and most stable part of the entire rig. A specialized heavy lift vessel has arrived on site, equipped with a gigantic crane capable of lifting thousands of tons of steel. The rigging team climbs to the very top of the derrick, securing the massive lifting cables to the designated anchor points carefully. This is the most critical moment of the entire operation, as the giant crane takes the full weight of the drilling tower. With a loud groan of stressing metal, the massive derrick is finally severed from its base and lifted slowly into the air. Watching thousands of tons of steel floating gracefully through the air is a truly breathtaking sight that we will never forget seeing. The heavy lift vessel carefully rotates its massive crane, lowering the giant drilling tower onto the waiting transport barge with extreme precision. With the tallest structure finally removed, the overall stability of the remaining platform has improved significantly, making the entire demolition job safer. Our excavators can now move more freely across the main deck, tearing into the remaining crew quarters and auxiliary processing facilities quickly. The hydraulic hammers smash through the thick concrete floors, exposing the intricate network of rusty pipes and electrical cables hidden underneath them. We are constantly amazed by the sheer amount of material that was used to construct this massive floating city in the ocean. Every piece of scrap metal is carefully sorted and loaded onto the barges, ensuring nothing is left behind to pollute the sea. The environmental protection team is constantly monitoring the surrounding waters to ensure that no oil or hazardous chemicals leak during the demolition. We have deployed floating containment booms around the entire worksite as a precautionary measure against any unexpected spills or chemical leaks. Protecting the delicate marine ecosystem of the Persian Gulf is just as important as completing the demolition project safely and on time. The demolition of the reveals a massive network of storage tanks that must be carefully inspected and purged of gases. Specialized ventilation equipment is brought in to clear out any toxic fumes before our cutting teams can safely enter the confined spaces. The workers wear heavy protective suits and breathing apparatus as they navigate the dark, claustrophobic corridors of the lower storage tank levels. It is slow and methodical work, but absolute caution is required when dealing with potentially explosive atmospheres in these old oil rigs. Once the tanks are declared safe, the plasma cutters make quick work of the thick steel walls, opening up the dark spaces. Sunlight finally pierces the gloom of the lower decks, illuminating the massive scale of the engineering that went into building this structure. The final major challenge is removing the massive helicopter landing pad, which is suspended over the edge of the main platform structure. Because of its precarious position, we cannot use the heavy excavators, so the pad must be dismantled piece by piece using torches. The cutting teams work tirelessly, slicing the thick steel beams into manageable sections that can be safely lifted away by the cranes. It is a delicate balancing act, ensuring the removal of one section does not cause the rest of the pad to fall. Piece by piece, the giant helipad disappears, leaving only the main central core of the oil rig standing in the open ocean. We are now in the final stages of the above-water demolition, preparing the remaining structure for the explosive underwater severing process. The demolition experts are carefully placing the shaped charges around the main support legs, exactly at the designated seabed cutting depth level. These highly specialized explosives are designed to slice through the thick steel pillars instantly, allowing the remaining structure to be lifted away. The entire crew is evacuated to a safe distance on the command vessel, leaving the ruined steel island completely abandoned once again. A tense silence falls over the control room as the final countdown begins for the synchronized detonation of the underwater cutting charges. With a muffled underwater thud, the explosives detonate perfectly, severing the massive steel legs and dropping the platform slightly into the water. The giant heavy lift crane takes the strain, slowly raising the final section of the oil rig completely out of the ocean. Water pours from the hollow steel legs as the massive structure is hoisted high into the air. A truly magnificent engineering spectacle. The last remaining piece of the solitary steel island is carefully lowered onto the transport barge, marking the end of the demolition. Where a massive industrial complex once stood, there is now only the open expanse of the beautiful deep blue Persian Gulf waters. Our underwater drones perform a final survey of the seabed, confirming that no dangerous debris has been left behind to hazard shipping. The entire operation has been a massive success, completed without a single injury or environmental incident, thanks to our highly dedicated team. The heavily loaded transport barges slowly begin their long journey back to the mainland, carrying thousands of tons of valuable scrap metal. This scrap steel will be melted down and recycled, eventually finding new life in modern construction projects all around the entire world. It is incredibly satisfying to know we have safely removed a dangerous hazard from the ocean, while also providing valuable recycled materials. The crew gathers on the deck of the command vessel, watching the sunset and celebrating the successful conclusion of this epic project. We have faced howling winds, towering waves, and incredibly dangerous structural challenges, but our professional demolition team has conquered them all today. This project stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the incredible power of modern industrial demolition techniques in extreme marine environments. We hope you have enjoyed this thrilling journey to the solitary steel island and gained a new appreciation for this dangerous profession. The ocean is a harsh and unforgiving environment, but with the right skills and equipment, we can overcome any obstacle it presents. Join us next time as we tackle another massive industrial teardown, pushing the limits of heavy machinery and expert engineering even further. There are always new challenges waiting for us out there, and we are always ready to face them with absolute professional confidence. Thank you so much for watching this incredible episode, and please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. This has been another amazing adventure with the Demolition Worker channel, and we will see you next